Longman Preparation Course for the TOEFL Test, IBT, Listening Diagnostic Pretest. This section measures your ability to understand conversations and lectures in English. You will listen to one conversation and one lecture. You will hear each conversation and lecture one time. After each conversation or lecture, you will answer some questions about it. The questions typically ask about the main idea and supporting details. Some questions ask about a speaker's purpose or attitude. Answer the questions based on what is stated or implied by the speakers. You may take notes while you listen. You may use your notes to help you answer the questions. Your notes will not be scored. In some questions, you will see this icon. This means that you will hear, but not see, part of the question. You will now begin this part of the listening section. Questions 1 through 6. Listen to a discussion between a student and an advisor.
Hi, Brad. Thanks for coming in.
No problem. What did you want to see me about?
Well, I saw your mid-semester grade report, and there was something of a problem on it.
You mean my history class?
Yes, exactly. You do understand that there's a problem in your history class, don't you? What is the problem? You're doing fairly well in your other classes, but in history you're, frankly, not doing very well at all. Your grades in your other classes show that you're capable of doing good work. What's the problem in history?
Well, history's so early in the morning.
It's at 9 o'clock. That's not so early.
It seems early to me.
So, set your alarm clock. This brings up a question, by the way. You do get up and go to history class, don't you?
Usually.
Usually? Since it's a class you're not doing well in, you should be there all the time.
I'll try.
And take a seat in the front of the class, near the professor, so you can get involved in the class.
But it's such a big class. You have to get there early to get a seat in the front.
Well, maybe you should try getting there early.
I'll try.
And get there early for every class.
I'll try that too.
Now, is that your only problem in the class, that you miss class sometimes and get there late other times?
No, not exactly.
What else is a problem?
Well, I didn't do too well on the exam.
And what was your problem, do you think?
I studied for the exam, I really did. But there were a lot of questions on the exam that weren't in the class textbook, in the chapters that were covered on the exam. At least half the questions on the exam weren't from the book.
Do you understand why?
I think there must have been a lot of questions from the lectures, stuff that wasn't covered in the text.
Are you sure?
No, but I think so.
Well, maybe you should check with the professor and find out if that's the case.
Okay.
And if it is, maybe you should concentrate on taking good notes during the lectures.
Okay.
And of course, you should be in class all the time to take good notes.
That's for sure.
Okay. So check back with me in a couple of weeks and let me know how you're handling this.
I'll do that.
Number 1. Why does the advisor want to talk with the student? Number 2. What problems does the student have? Number 3. Listen again to part of the passage. Then answer the question.
This brings up a question, by the way. You do get up and go to history class, don't you?
Usually.
Usually?
What does the advisor mean when she says this?
Usually?
Number 4. How does the advisor seem to feel about the student's responses? Number 5. Does the advisor recommend each of these? Number 6. What can be concluded from the conversation? Questions 7 through 12. Listen as an instructor leads a discussion of some material from a psychology class.
Today, we're going to review the characteristics of sleep in both humans and other types of living beings. We talked about this some in the last class, and you should have done the reading, so this should all be clear to you. First of all, what are the main characteristics of sleep? Let's talk about this diagram. What happens to the human body when a person is sleeping? Can you start this off for us, Pam?
Well, during sleep, the muscles relax. Both breathing and heart rate slow down and brain waves change.
Exactly. Now, let's look at these drawings of brainwave patterns. Ron, can you explain how brainwaves change?
I think so. The brain of a person who's awake and relaxed gives off about 10 small waves per second, like in the drawing on the left. But it's different in deep sleep.
What's different about deep sleep?
Well, I think that in deep sleep, the brain waves become much slower and larger, like in the drawing on the right.
Well, you don't sound quite sure of your answers, Ron, but you've got them exactly right. Brain waves are the slowest and largest during the first few hours of a period of sleep. This is called the period of slow wave sleep. Are brain waves always large and slow during sleep? Nancy?
No, there are periods of small and fast waves at intervals during a period of sleep. These short and fast waves are similar to the brain waves of a person who's awake.
And what happens to the eyes during these periods of fast brain activity?
The sleeper's eyes move rapidly. This is called rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep.
Yes, Pam, exactly. And what other name does the period of REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, have?
REM sleep is called dreaming sleep, because this is when dreaming occurs.
Okay, let's stop for a moment and make sure it's all clear so far. We've seen that when a person sleeps, there are different types of brainwave activity. There are periods of large, slow brainwaves during deep sleep, and there are periods of small, fast brainwaves during REM or dreaming sleep. Now, we're going to compare human sleep patterns with the sleep patterns of certain animals. What can you tell me about the sleep patterns of mammals, Ron?
Mammals seem to experience true sleep, with changes in brainwave patterns. They have periods of dreaming sleep and periods of slow wave sleep.
And what about reptiles and fish? Nancy?
Reptiles also experience sleep with changes in brainwave patterns, but they don't seem to have periods of dreaming sleep. Fish have periods when they become less aware of their surroundings, but there's no scientific evidence of changes in brainwaves.
Excellent. Now, Pam, let's see if you can summarize the information for us. Which types of animals seem to experience changes in brainwaves while they're sleeping?
Humans, of course, and also mammals, birds, and reptiles. Fish don't seem to experience changes in brain waves.
And what about periods of dreaming?
Again, humans, of course, experience periods of dreaming, and most mammals seem to experience the same type of dreaming, with periods of dreaming sleep and periods of slow wave sleep. Birds may experience short periods of dreaming, but reptiles and fish don't.
That's very good. That's all for today.
Number 7. What does the instructor mainly want to get across in the discussion? Number 8. What happens during human sleep? Number 9. What does the instructor mean when he says this?
Okay, let's stop for a moment and make sure it's all clear so far.
Number 10. How long are the periods of dreaming for each of these groups of animals? Number 11. How does the professor seem to feel about the students' responses? Number 12. What conclusion can be drawn from the discussion?